In the summer of 2017, the faculties of architecture of KU11 and EIABC joined forces on a development project for the Merkato area in Addis Ababa. Students of both schools were brought together through the Streetscape Territories Research Project, an international collective research practice whose collaboration with the EIABC has a 4-year history. In the context of a rapidly urbanizing world, Streetscape Territories investigates the transformation of our cities and how architectural and urban interventions can make for diverse and tolerant streetscapes so that they can be sustainable environments for their inhabitants. We look into how these streetscapes can be appropriated by the inhabitants, how they can be manifestations of both social and productive encounters. Property structure, open spaces, architecture, accessibility, and permeability play key roles in what these streetscapes mean for people living in them. Besides more developed contexts like New York and Brussels, Merkato and Addis Ababa are part of a bigger focus on understanding developing contexts. Within Addis Ababa, the political center of Africa and a city of more than 3 million inhabitants, Merkato employs around 13,000 people in one of the largest open markets in Africa. In order to read the structures and complexities that come with this scale, clear parameters and methodologies structure the research. The first stage of fieldwork focused on 3 major themes: motion, edges, program. The 3 themes served to pinpoint a specific situation for collectivity and defined areas within Merkato that displayed potentials and challenges. Edges. Edges were studied by means of porosity, axis, and massing. Different configurations and uses were analyzed to have an understanding of the workings of boundaries within the market. Challenges that arose were the limitations of access that occur when shops or other activities extend their business to the street, and limiting porosity that results in newly established main corridors. Potentials include activation and appropriation of edges, which are created by a difference in configuration, typology, or floor material. Motion. Motions of all kinds were mapped to understand movements of every actor in Merkato and its impacts on architecture and infrastructure. The main challenge found here in the concentration of activities in the Minalish Terra, where the chain of production, storage, and sales are in one place. The contrast lies within the more recent mall area nearby, where these units are decentralized. A potential is translating horizontal activities, such as the production chain, to a vertical typology, such as the nearby mall. Program. Goods sold in Merkato are traditionally grouped in defined terras. It still allows for intermediate spaces where programs are flexible, interchangeable, and overlapping. Malls challenge the existing fabric by disrupting groups of similar, interdependent activities within a single terra, which causes inefficient logistics and difficulties in attracting customers. Both typologies of mall and smaller scale shops show potential in the multiplicity of activities that are all interdependent. The 3 themes serve to pinpoint a specific situation for collectivity and define areas within Merkato that display potentials and challenges. After reading the situation on site and identifying potentials and challenges, we started developing strategies for a sustainable development of Merkato. The strategies are divided in 6 themes: program, building, infrastructure, mobility, access, services. Program. Within the program, everyone should be welcome. We see maintaining the presence of different actors of Merkato as a potential for the different markets on the street. A proper additional storage floor can save area on the ground floor, which can be used to expand businesses. A building could be organized around the Merkato process. The inner part could be used for production and storage, while the final products could be displayed on the most visible areas on the main street. A new mall and the surrounding terra can help each other. The surrounding terras can continue through the ground floor of the mall. This way, the mall can attract people to the terra. If there are different types of labor and services grouped together, keeping them close to each other increases productivity and efficiency. Different materials, where to pave or not, placing steps and water drainage, would influence the activities taking place on the sidewalks. Building. Entrances of the mall should be placed according to the existing street so that existing streets continue into the mall. Even if malls have one front facade, the others are just as important. Spaces between the malls can be used for informal structures, so access should be provided from all sides through the staircase and ramps. Different functions need different floor heights. Workshops, for example, need high ceilings. Split levels and ramps should be considered to improve circulation in the malls. Working spaces inside a mall or a productive tara should be accessible from a different side than the customer accesses. A building is not going to last forever. We should consider making informal expansions possible. Access. Limiting the deliveries of goods to the shops to the early morning and evening will keep the trucks out of the streets and make movements easier during the day. To prevent congestion and provide more area for activities within the market, parking should be located in designated zones or buildings outside the market area. Loading and unloading areas for goods and drop-off zones for public transport should be specified. Shops do not finish at the entrance. A better connection between the internal and external spaces would lead to increased access and usage. The streets can be designed to allow for shops to extend outwards as long as they do not limit the circulation too much. Gaps will improve access and visibility for shops that are not located on the street. Connecting the malls with bridges will improve connectivity and reduce the need for vertical movement. Instead of building back-to-back shops, creating a joint shop could eliminate the wasted space between buildings and make the transportation of goods and movement of customers easier. Some areas could be separated from the public space of the street, creating dead zones for loading and unloading of goods. Mobility. Motor vehicles should only access the wider main roads. Placing production, sales, and storage closer to each other would reduce the need for transportation within the market. Lots of openings at the ground floor would make it possible to easily move through the market. Restricting deliveries to early mornings and late evenings would make it faster and the streets will be less crowded during the day. Services. Public toilets and wash basins on the ground can generate revenue by renting it out to an agency that maintains them and collect money from the users. A community can collect funds and build toilets and showers, which can be kept open to the public for pay and used to generate profit and maintain the facility. Renting out the lift to an agency to maintain and collect money from the users can generate a profit. A fixed percentage of the revenue generated by the land lease for a new mall should be used by the public authorities to maintain and introduce public facilities in an area within 500 meters from the new building. Infrastructure. Solar panels can be installed on the uppermost level of a mall to generate electricity for consumption. Excess power can be shared with the grid and generate revenue. Merkato has a great potential to use gravity to collect rainwater from the streets and open spaces. The drawing shows the higher and lower points around Minalish Tara. The highlighted location can become a collection pit and the space around it can be developed into a green area. The streets should be preferably paved with stones instead of asphalt. This will allow some rainwater to flow into the ground and reduce risk of flooding. The simple placement of a drainage channel into the road section will reduce the need for expensive infrastructure works. With these strategies, EIABC and KU11 hope to, in collaboration with the stakeholders, work towards a sustainable development of Merkato.